First of all, congratulations on this project. It is intense. It is impactful. It hits harder than most other films that I've seen this year from Dances Films. What was it like to bring this documentary to fruition? Like, what was the steps? How difficult was it to get this produced?
Well, I've been producing TV series for many years. Sorry, let me start over. I've been producing TV series for many years, and in the documentary type TV series dating back to Chris Angel Mind Freak and Ghost Hunters International and the Car Show with Adam Carolla, and it's sort of all across the board on all different topics. But my background is in journalism, and when you see footage or somebody that really has a true story to tell you, it's like finding a needle in a haystack. And that was one of those things that happened with this. I'd gotten to know Randall, whose life story the movie SPYRAL is about, for the about a year. And he relayed to me, he was sitting on all this home video footage and he thought maybe he had enough to tell a story of what it's like to go through uh, bipolar or a mental health problem in America. And so I went through the footage, and sure enough, it haunted me for days. And I thought, oh my God, do I have the capacity to do a development project and from square one right now? Because in TV series, it's greenlit, it has a budget, and you produce it. And this was like, okay, wow, we're gonna have to raise money for a project about mental health. But a few days later, I found myself calling him and said, let's sign some paperwork, take anything you have about this down, if you do have anything about this, and I'm going to help you get it out there in a big way, because this is really raw, it's really emotional, and if you don't know what bipolar is, you do when you're done watching this.
Definitely, I think that's what caught my attention the most. The fact that one, this is real, and two, I don't think people ever could imagine that it gets to this extreme. Like the film states several times, this is, a very extreme case, and not everybody goes to this level, but showing this level, it breaks your heart for her, it breaks your heart for the family. For you, like what has it been like, getting to know Randall and getting to see this story and having it unfold on screen the way you guys have put it together?
I am so frustrated with what Randall's had to go through in his life with having a mental health problem in America. And our healthcare system feels like it's only getting worse. I mean, talk to anybody in your friend circle, and they're like, I am scared to get sick. I'm scared to go to the doctor, and just watching how this unfolded, it sort of begs the question of, are we responsible to become experts in our own family when something like this happens to a family member? I mean, we shouldn't be, right? We should have proper medical care and proper things in place where it doesn't get to, in Randall's story, it gets to a point where his child is at huge risk. And our system is not set up in a way to help families that are going through something like this. He was in a really extreme, frustrating situation, and he hit record because he was so frustrated all the time. Like, look at what is happening to me. So it freaks me out that we think we're so advanced in America, and we're not when you see things like this.
It definitely does. And I think the aspect of the child being put into her custody when she's going through such hard times is incredible. When people see this film, what do you hope they feel when they get to that point in the story?
To be honest with you, I hope this film pisses you off. I hope it makes you want to call your congressman, your state senator, whoever it can help make a change. Because I mean, the film doesn't leave you happy. It leaves you like, what the hell? How did this happen? And I think the more people that get pissed off, that's where we need to be to make change.
It definitely is. And I won't ruin anything from the ending, but having it get to that point is difficult for somebody watching. For you that had to, go through all this footage and create a story and make it impactful. how did that affect you personally?
Yeah. Um, it's heavy. I mean, every time I watch the footage or watch the finished movie, or as we've been going through rough cuts, I end up in tears. You'd think you'd become immune to it, and most projects I do become immune to, but this one, I've gone through everything about 50 times. We had 30 hours of footage to go through when we first started this process to get down to 83 minutes. And it's emotional. The director, Bill Guttentag, I think he did a wonderful job on finding the heartbeat of the story and putting it together in such a way where um the story shows you instead of tells you.
Mhm. Definitely. And having seen the raw footage yourself, and having seen the final cut, how satisfied are you with all the information that's presented on screen?
Oh my gosh, it was really hard to pick and choose um the stuff in this story because Randall had so much footage that was so dynamic and moving. Um he'd been filming his life for over 12 years, with cell phone, home video, laptop. And it started as what all of us do, is just filming your life and taking pictures and stuff. And he was a rising rock star in Portland. So he was taking photographs and filming probably more than the average person. And his wife, Michelle, really young, attractive couple, so they they photographed well together, and they like to videotape happy moments of themselves and getting married and having a baby. But eventually he started filming because she was forgetting how she was acting.
Mhm.
And he would show her the footage, and it really upset her because she did not remember what was happening to herself. Her lows were becoming lower, her highs were becoming higher. And by the time the end of this particular film's story, um, at the end of 12 years of filming, he was filming for potential child custody, because nobody was listening to him or helping him.
Definitely. And for me watching it, I had to stop, digest, settle my own emotions as I'm watching this. So it took me a little bit longer than, the runtime to watch it. For you, was there ever a point where you had to just step away for, an hour, a day, a week, just so you can make sure your mental health is okay?
It's funny when you get into the documentary business, you think, okay, I'm just going to tell this interesting story about somebody. And many of us will tell you, you end up living it with the person. We were done with the movie, and it was going through uh, sound mix and all those other things, but I'm still talking to Randall on a daily basis. His story is still continuing. His daughter, who we see in the movie, is now 14, and she's going through her own struggles. So, there's a point where I stopped down everything I was doing for a week, to try and help his daughter. It's like, here we've made a movie about mental health to shine a light on mental health and hopefully attract solutions. And now one of the main people in the story is having her own mental health problems. And every time this happens to Randall, he loses his job. And so the level of healthcare becomes even worse. So his daughter had a mental breakdown over the summer, and we've talked about this, and we've agreed that it's okay to talk about this. Um, and she got put into a state facility to sort of stabilize, and she came out worse. She was seeing shadow figures. She was even more excelled, suicidal ideation. And I stepped in as the power of the producer to see if we could get them rich person healthcare, and we were able to get a recommendation for somebody that takes a holistic approach to therapy. And this woman, her name's Ariel Mave, took her from like almost losing this kid to back on her feet, getting straight A's, functioning, going to school, getting a job. Like she's a normal kid now.
Definitely. And, I want to talk a little bit about that because I've seen this happen a lot of times. Sometimes the state funded help does end up making somebody going through an episode or hard times worse. How do you explain this to a healthcare professional who doesn't want to see it?
Yeah. It's hard because there's a lot of healthcare professionals that are also frustrated with the system. I mean, I hear from doctors all the time that they only get 2.5 minutes per patient. Like they are so stacked that, they have to race people through. And there's not even a button for preventative medicine coding now. It's all, just prescriptive. And so they've got to figure out, diagnose really quickly and get you on pills. And a lot of these I mean, yes, there is stuff that's helpful to people, but there's stuff that's unhelpful too. I mean, if you're having a mental break, the first question that should be asked is, what's triggering this? Like, let's talk, let's get to the core of it. But instead, it's like, here, take this medicine.
Definitely. And
Um,
talking a little bit about your voice actress, Michelle Trachtenberg, she did such an amazing job. It felt so honest. It felt so raw. How thrilled are you that she was able to embody this character so well?
Yeah, when Michelle showed interest in this project, I was I was going through some of because I was a fan of Michelle. I'd watched her in Gossip Girl and European Vacation with Chevy Chase, and she's been in 1,000 things that I grew up loving, and I thought this movie's really dark. And I found this clip of her on Weeds, and she was talking to somebody, and she started laughing, but the laughing was almost, a tortured sort of laugh. And I closed my eyes, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's our Michelle White. That's her. And I sent it to our director, Bill, and he goes, "You're right, it is." And fast forward, we're in a recording studio in LA with Michelle, and she just embodied Michelle Cody White, the mother of our story. And I'm closing my eyes. I'm like, oh my God, like it was such an emotional recording studio because these letters and diaries and journals that Michelle Cody White had handwritten and typed, and just all the stuff she had that now Michelle Trachtenberg is embodying her. Like it was almost like she was possessed and became her. It was
Definitely.
it was haunting and magical. Like I would at that moment I was like, we are dealing with an amazing talent here.
Definitely. And having this come to Dances with Films at the TCL Chinese Theater, what does that mean to a documentary like this?
Uh, you know, um, I used to live on Franklin Boulevard in Hollywood, which is a block away from the Chinese Theater. And I was producing Chris Angel Mind Freak at the time. And that was a big show. We had billboards on Hollywood Boulevard. But it was not my show. I didn't own it. And I thought, God, wouldn't that be neat to do a film and have it premiere at the Chinese Theater? And I drive by there all the time. And now, many, many years later, if I say how many years later, I'm going to age myself. So I'm not going to say it. But many, many years later, to have this be the worldwide premiere at the Chinese Theater is phenomenal.
And what are you hoping to see at from the people who go watch it? What reaction do you hope you get from them? And what reaction do you hope you get from Randall once he sees it on the big screen?
I am scared to death the reaction we are going to get from the audience on Spiral. Um, it's triggering, it's raw, it's an emotional film. Um, I'm going to be sitting in the back shaking. And probably crying again. Um, no, I mean, I hope that people will see what we saw in this of like, wow, we need change. We need this to not happen to another family. And, and I hope it becomes a cafe talk where people want to, you know how you see that movie that just makes you want to go to a restaurant and sit down and talk to people about what you just saw? Like that's what I hope it evokes, like the furthered conversation.
Definitely. Well, congratulations. It definitely is a conversation starter. It is extremely impactful, extremely heartwarming, very emotional. And I hope you guys get the audience it deserves here at Dance of the Films and beyond that. this definitely needs to be seen by a much wider audience.
Thank you. We will keep chugging away. It's been the little film that just keeps going, you know.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.